Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is something I've never really done before, I think I did one or two videos similar to this, but since I'm wanting to get like the videos more like, I don't know, wanting to do more videos like this, I thought we're going to be doing my March wrap up and my April TBR, at least a small portion of my April TBR, because I gotta be real, most of it is 3 of them are for a challenge. I'm not gonna say the challenge, I'll just show you guys the book, give you all a little sneak peek. And then 2 of them I'm currently reading right now, but I doubt I'm gonna finish it in the month of March, so I'm leaving those for April. And then another one is something that I just have been wanting to read forever, and I finally have chose this month to read it. But so this month in the month of March, not in the March of April. No, in the month of March, I read 9 books. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, I read 9 different books. I was actually very proud of myself. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, no, I read 10. Hold on, y'all. I read 10. So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning of the month relatively, which I started this month. It feels like 2 months ago I read this series, like the beginning of this series. But the first book I read was Magnolia Parks, and I rated this 3.5 stars. I have to be real, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first book, and so many people like are in love with it and everything, but it wasn't my favorite. I have to be real, because mainly just because like I'm not trying to be mean, but like Magnolia was annoying me a lot, because like she's just like, she has to have everyone's attention, and then she got mad at every little thing. And I get BJ cheated, but literally spoiler, sorry. But I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, the first book was not for me as much. I gotta be real. But it did get read, finally. It's been sitting on my shelf for close to a year now, I believe. So there's my first book. And of course, because I'm the type of person, when I get series, I read them, like binge them. So I technically am binging. I did binge the series. I read books like in between each one. So then I read Daisy Hates Next, which I rated this a 3.65 stars. A little specific, but I liked this one a lot better than I really love the indie covers so much. They're so beautiful. But this one, I think when I was reading this, I was also like listening to the audiobook of Anxious People, and I rated that a 4.5 stars. So because I was reading this and I was reading this, but I was mainly reading this first and then read this. It's a little complicated, but this was my, okay, we're just gonna be done with this, because like it was good. I can't really say much, because like I love Daisy and Christian so much. Julian, everyone has my heart. Romeo, he can go away. But this book, oh my gosh, I was like utterly confused a little bit here and there every like 2 seconds, but at the same time it was such a good, like, intriguing story. And this was my first Frederick Bachman book, and I think that was like a good way to start off. And I not really recommended, but I watched Sarah Caroli, and he's one of her favorite authors, so I decided to pick this up. I have a couple others, and eventually I will be doing a video with Mr. Frederick Bachman. Y'all will be seeing. And then I read Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. It was definitely, oh my gosh, all over the place. I rated it a 4. Oh damn, I did not. I rated this a 4.5 stars. I feel like after the first 2, because also I did not realize that Daisy Hates was just going to be a reiteration of events, which was a little frustrating, because I'm just like, just rereading this shit, and I'm like, oh my god. But then you get to this, and I was like, I kind of loved the like 1 year break and like everything that had happened and how they got back to where they finally, how they got back together, if that makes sense. I just loved how it finally, like, in this book, it finally had answers where we were having answers the past, like, 2 books. But, literally, all I have to say also, spoiler, not spoiler, because what the hell happened at the fucking end of this book? What the fuck? I'm sorry, but I had to say that, because, oh my gosh. Literally, this one and this one, these 2 books have me in a chokehold of the endings, because I'm like, what the hell do you mean that shit happened? What do you mean? But yeah, I also read Daisy Hates. This, The Great Undoing. This was not in order. I read this a little bit after I read something else, but at least I think. But I rated this a 4.75 because of Daisy and Christian. It was not as long. Yeah, I read the physical copies of these because they weren't on Libby for my Kindle, but like, it's whatever. But oh my gosh, they have me in a chokehold. And then the Julian and Magnolia, oh my gosh, I felt so bad for him. And that literally, the fact that he was like, I could have loved you, and then she was like, I would have let you love me in another lifetime. What the hell do you mean, bro? Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, BJ and Magnolia are okay and all, but I feel like something could have happened with Julian and Magnolia, and it would not have been as toxic, no offense, but sometimes you just have that relationship with certain people where they just have to go back and forth, and then finally, like, back together, even if it is a toxic relationship. And then one of the next books I read, one of the next books I read was Just for the Summer. I think I read this on Kindle, but I read this on Kindle. Quick little malfunction, y'all, but back to what I was saying. Just for the Summer, I read this on my Kindle, but it was such a cute little story. I loved how it was like, just for the summer, we're just doing this. They literally fell in love with each other. Dude, that's the one. I literally forgot. This was the one where, like, he was doing the guardianship and she was, like, unsure if she wanted to be with him or not because of the kids. But they ended up making it work. And I rated this a 4.25. It was really cute and I loved it so much. It was a cute little rom-com to tie me over for the next mental breakdown I was gonna have. And then I read Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. This is my second book by her so far. I read The Bodyguard last month or before. January, February I read it. I think it was February. February feels like 2 million years ago. But I read this, and it was actually I rated this a 3.75. Not because it wasn't good, but like, I feel like that's still a good rating. But it was just such an interesting story, like a unique story, because like she can't see faces, and then it had me like laughing because she like found out that the person she was liking and the whole reason they broke up was literally a whole misunderstanding, because it was a whole the same person. Literally at one point I did guess, like I was like, is he the same person? But in the same time, I was, like, questioning it myself. I'm like, no, maybe they're different people. I'm like, this is, like, confusing. But it was just so, like, kind of cute to see, like, something a little refreshing. Like, something not, like, every rom-com has. And, like, oh my gosh, this person, we're falling in love, blah, blah, blah. This was, like, actually cool to where, like, she didn't care, like, she couldn't care about the looks or anything like that. She was just, like, caring about the personality and everything, and at the end of it, she, like, finally saw herself, because she couldn't even see her own face, but she saw her dog's face, and I loved that so much. It was so cute. But this was just such a cute little, read. I think I read this on Kindle, too. Literally, I get the paperbacks half the time, and then if it's on Kindle Unlimited, I'm like, we're reading it that way. I think I also I listened to the audiobook also for like 2 minutes, and then I got the Kindle. And then I read The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hilderbrand. Yeah, I have the TV version, but this I rated a 4.25. It was such an interesting, I definitely liked like the book. It was so, I listened to the audiobook one of this also. Certain books, I'm like, I feel like I have to listen to the audiobook. It was definitely like a little interesting. And it was like, it was out there, but like at the same time, it was so like interesting to see that it wasn't even the fact that like the murder was happening. You were just seeing that like not everything that you're seeing from this family is perfect, and everything behind the scenes is like cray cray. So literally the whole thing is literally just like practically a big misunderstanding, but then you're finding like thousands of like family secrets, and it's so fun. And then the last book I read I have 2 other books that I read technically, but the next book I read was Next of Kin. I read this on my Kindle. I bought it on my Kindle, that's why I'm just showing you the picture. But yeah, I read Next of Kin by Hannah Bonwin Young. I'm so sorry if I like said that all janky. I rated that a 3.5. It was such a cute little story. It was like a little refresher also. The way like these 2 people needed help, and then they were there helping for each other, and then like they had each other like through the whole time, and they ended up falling in love. The only things I sometimes hate about like sometimes almost like this one was the fact that like, oh my gosh, it was like only a few months or so and then they fell in love. I'm like, I just don't get that in stories sometimes. I'm like, bro, what do you mean y'all are in love after 2 months? What? I don't know if it was actually 2 months, but like it was still such a cute story. And then also like the deaf interpretation, like, did I say that right? How like she showed like deaf kids and like stuff like that, and then also like just like I love how she like shows things that a lot of authors don't show, especially in Out on a Limb. I think that's what it was called. And then Next of Kin, I feel like it was just such, like, she's such a good author when it comes. at least when showing certain things that a lot of authors don't show, like I said. But I can't get certain words out, y'all. And then the last book I read was Scythe and Sparrow, and I rated this a 3.25, which it was the last book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. I loved, like, I also listened to the audiobook of it. Now go lay down. That is Nala. She's practically Velcro to my hip sometimes. I think she was trying to find me. She was like, where is she? But yeah, I rated this a 3.25. I was listening to it also. I was like, what the heck is happening half the time? It was definitely like cool to see how we seeing Fiona and Rose and their little like love story, because in the other two, like, you see snippets of them and it's like cute, but you want to know what like actually got them there, if that makes sense. So those were the 9 books. Most of them I'm like very like happy that I got them off my physical TBR. I'm like so happy about that, because I've been like trying to like get my physical TBR down, even though I keep on buying more books, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's my own doing. But hey, be proud. The last time I went to Barnes, which was like just the other day, I didn't get anything, but like last week at books, I got Books A Million is what I'm yapping about. I got 3 books. But now let's get on to our April TBR, y'all. And so far, this is only like a small part of my TBR, mainly because I do a lot of mood reading, and 2 of these I'm currently reading right now, like I said earlier, and I just do not think it would have been a part of the March wrap up, because it's March 30th when I'm filming this, and I have work today and tomorrow, so I do these videos while also working a job and having to do school. So, but I'm still proud that I read 10 books this month. Crazy. But the 6, at least the 6 not physical, but technically physical. Yeah, because I'm choosing these for my TBR to be read this month, mainly because 3 of them are for a video, 2 of them, like I said, currently reading, and then 1 of them I finally got on the off the hold list for Libby, so I did want to read that and listen to it, because I feel like that's motivation for me to finally like get this book done. Not get it done, but like finally like read it and experience their words. But I'll start off with the ones I'm currently reading now, and if you can't guess it, of course I'm reading right now Into the Dark, Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. I'm currently 140 pages in, which so far I'm like kind of breezing through it. I just started it last night, so I think I'm like kind of breezing through, and so far I'm like liking it. It's kind of weird, like hard to see like Magnolia like this a little bit in the grief, and like I'm relating to her a lot with that, so it's almost kind of hard to read it, but at the same time not, if that makes sense. But Miss Jessa Hastings needs to make a 6th book, and that can be the last one, I swear. But I need an ending for Christian and Daisy, please. If I like read once I'm done with this, if I like feel like there should not be another book, Sorry. Getting distracted. But yeah, currently reading this and I'm loving it so far. And then I'm also currently reading The Women by Kristen Hanna. I'm listening to it also. Lately I've been loving like audiobooks because especially going to work, coming home, like that's a 30-ish minute drive to and from work. So I get like a good amount done, even just on days like, because normally if I'm reading, like doing an audiobook, I normally also have another book I'm just like reading to where like I just read this in the morning and then like focus on the audiobook when I'm like working out or on my way to work or at work when I'm like doing things. Okay. Well, we gotta be quick with it because my battery's about to die. But yeah, we're reading A Little Life. And then the 3 for a challenge is A Man Called Ov, which is also a Netflix movie, but it's called A Man Called Otto. So, and I'm ready to read this. It's another Frederick Bachman book. Then we have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. And then we finally have Finley Donovan is Killing It. And this has also been on my TBR for like years, along with these two have been on it for years. But that is my April TBR so far. Hopefully I get these done. We will check back in once the month is over. At the end of April, we will check back in. You might even see a few of these videos. At least you might see these books to see that I've read them. Might be doing another, do a little couple days with me or something. But hope you had a good time listening to me yap and see the books I read and what I'm going to be reading. So have a great day.